This week on the Reality Testing Podcast.
Nothing irks me more than a housewife who goes onto the show and is like, I'm not talking about that part of my life. I'm like, that's not what you signed up for, babe.
We are two shrinks obsessed with reality TV. We are breaking down our favorite reality shows, the characters, and what psychology has to say about human behavior when it's being filmed. Pull up a seat and let's get started. This has been a little brainchild of ours for a long time, basically, because that's all we text about.
They are us, but in Fendi.
And we're like, oh my gosh, but also that's me. Just a quick reminder here, we are psychologists talking about mental health themes, but we are not diagnosing anyone in these episodes. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered mental health advice. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis, please contact 988 if you're here in the US or seek local support wherever you are. You can access additional resources at realitytestingpod.com/resources. Hello, and welcome to the Reality Testing Podcast. This week, we have two special things going on. We are going to do our first progress note.
Yay.
And we also have a very special guest, Lauryn Lucido.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We have a lot to talk about today. The purpose of this is going to be to talk through all of the recent happenings in the Bravo universe.
Of which there have been many.
There have been so many. So what do you want to start with?
Oh, don't put that on me. Oh, man.
I have so many.
Okay, you pick.
Okay. So we have to talk about Mary Crosby? Crosby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cosby?
Yes. That was
Cosby, like Bill Cosby.
Okay. We have to talk about Mary Cosby.
Yes, and her stuff going on with her son.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we see in 2 episodes ago, we see one of the most tender moments where her son is talking through his devastating, I think, substance use issue, which you had already called. You had said that he looks like he's like high walking through the house, right?
Yeah, he looked like The Walking Dead. I called that from a mile away.
Yeah. And so he's looking really high, but he also kind of tenderly talks about feeling like a stain.
The way that boy talked about his emotional experiences, I actually found him to be very in touch with and insightful and articulate about what he was feeling. Like he could express himself in a way that many of my patients cannot, but it was heartbreaking and it was intense and it was deep.
And he was doing it while high.
Good point. That's a really good point.
I mean, his eyes were like shutting. He was like having a hard time like articulating his experience.
His speech wasn't even that clear.
No.
It was not. One of the things I felt, there's so much to unpack there when it comes to substance use and supporting a person through their recovery journey. But one of the things that I felt in watching that was I felt almost wrong being there. Like it was such an intimate moment that it almost felt a little icky for me to sit in and watch it. And I had that feeling of like, ooh, this is a little too voyeuristic. Should we be here? Should the cameras be here? And I know Mary Cosby later stated like, I didn't know that's the direction this was going to go. And I don't know, how did y'all feel watching that and being there in that moment as a part of something that we usually consider entertainment?
I mean, I think it definitely caught, her off guard for sure. And I think us too, as we were watching it, because like, oh my gosh, it just got deep very quickly. I did really appreciate though, how he explained the like progression of his substance use. And I think it started off pretty like what a lot of high schoolers, kind of do, of like just a little bit of Adderall here and there, and just the progression and how intense it got. And I think Mary had no idea. So she steps in and she's like, something's wrong with my kid. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, he's in like full blown addiction, which I think was really just surprising for everybody.
Yeah, and terrifying to think that, I think that this is what is hard to talk about with substances, that there are a good portion of people out there in the world that would use substances and take it or leave it. They can walk away after a few years and like, oh yeah, we had that like crazy time in college. But there's also a good part of the community that can't do that. And they become him, right? And it like changes everything. But I think what I was I saw him in his sadness and his overwhelm, and I appreciated that he was kind of talking through that and letting her in. But more than anything, I felt like Mary was finally a person. She had been such an asshole to so many people.
Yeah, she really had. And I know we talk about the folks on these shows being characters anyways, but she really was like a character to me, and one that I didn't like because she was so rude and so mean. And I agree. I think this really like humanized her and her experience. And in subsequent episodes, we've kind of seen her become more of a three-dimensional character. And this is because of that. She's like, I have stuff going on at home. I can't be petty fighting with these women.
I feel like the whole time I was always confused why, because I know we talked about like her being part of a cult and like how all these people kind of like gravitated towards her, and I never really understood that. And I think when I saw these like intimate moments where she had with her son, where she got really emotional, or even in the subsequent episode, her telling Meredith how much she loved her and she got emotional, I was like, oh my gosh, this is probably the side that people are seeing that they gravitate towards, that they're like, oh, like they just want to be loved by her. And because she's so harsh so many of the other times, those moments where she's sweet, you're like, oh, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's okay.
Yeah. No, I even felt myself being like, oh, I get it. Now I know why Angie K is like a big fan, right? Because like at the beginning of the season, you're like, what? I don't get it. Yeah. What's this new friendship? Because Mary was awful to her last season, and then she like suddenly wasn't, and they're besties. Yeah. It was profound.
Yeah. I also thought another interesting part of this was, do you remember a couple seasons ago? It was the season, I think, right before Mary left, where she made those really racist remarks, particularly about people of color and bringing drugs into this country or making drugs or something. And it just, A, it was just racist and horrible. And B, it was so odd to hear coming out of the mouth of a Black woman. And then now having substances be a part of her own family's story, I just wonder how that has changed her, or if it has.
I hope that she's changed. I feel like this is the invitation to like actually change and to, I don't know, be nicer. I mean, there are some parts of Mary that we don't want to go away, right? We like her quippy. We like, you know, that she can like serve. We like that, but she doesn't have to be such an asshole. And so I think that this could like potentially change that. But you know, I think that there's like old adages out there of like, you know, the thing that you hate the most is probably the thing that you're struggling with the most, even if that's unconscious. And like the substance use does not happen overnight. Addiction does not happen overnight. So she was seeing some things in her home that were likely very upsetting. And whether she was conscious of that or not, she like projects that out into the world, and it's everyone else's problem, and those people over there are the problem. Those people over there are bringing in the drugs, when really she was struggling with it at home.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, you know, in a lot of the religious spaces too, it's the us versus them mentality. And I think sometimes it does take something like your own child going through something to kind of break that down, so that you start to have compassion, not only for your own kid, but also for the other people that you may have said some not so nice things about in the past.
Yeah. I mean, we see that really easily in the queer community, right? When like religious people's children are queer and they come out, right? But I think that it can happen in a lot of different ways, and we're seeing that.
Can we talk about the pregnancy rumors, pigeons on Roni? This was just so inappropriate.
Yeah, we'll need to gag first because it was so stupid. I was so mad that this was like the joke of all the jokes you can play on people, that it had to do with pregnancy, and that they would do it in a friend group with Jessel.
Right? Yeah, that just felt so wrong. It's like when people do the like April Fool's Day pregnancy announcement, and it's just like, please don't, please just, that's not okay. There's so many people who struggle with fertility. To make a joke of that or make light of that is so inappropriate. And when you have a friend as a part of this group who's going through, well, actually, it's not just Jessel, it's Uba as well. It's Bryn as well. There's so many women in this group who want to be pregnant or on some kind of fertility journey, and to make light of that, it was just, I'm actually grossed out that they aired it, but I know it's a big part of the storyline and the pigeon stuff, so it had to, but it was not comfortable.
Yeah, it was hard for me to imagine like what part of that did they think was going to be funny? Like where did they think that was going to land? That everyone was just going to like slap their knees and like laugh themselves home? It like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it landed. What I think was like also weird is that it kind of caught Aaron in this place of like, now the audience is questioning whether Aaron is being truthful in like some of the stories that she's telling. Did Brynn actually know? Was she in on the middle of this or not?
I just also want to point out that this is playing out on the show where in real time, Aaron's announcing a pregnancy.
Yes.
That's happening. And then the very next episode, Aaron and Jenna Lyons have the conversation about abortion and reproductive rights. And it's just like, these are obviously topics that are top of mind for you. And you still don't have the self-awareness to think like, maybe we shouldn't make a joke out about this. Like, I don't know. I'm disappointed. And I think I'm having that experience where last season I went into Roni like, I love me some Sonia and Ramona. Like, please. Okay, I'll give these new girls a chance. I gave them a chance. Some of them grew on me and I liked them. And now I'm not liking them. And I don't like that. Like, don't play with me like that.
Yeah. Another thing in Roni that we have to talk about, and that is how weird Rebecca Minkoff is.
Give it to us, cult expert.
I don't want her to be weird, but she is. We're like asking these questions about Scientology, right? Like the producers are obviously asking her in these interviews, like, tell us a little bit about your participation in Scientology. And she's like, well, I'm Jewish and that's my religion, but I use the tools of Scientology to do what? And I think she like sells it as this like managing stress. Like these are tools, like coping skills.
Which is how they try to get you in.
Yes.
You know, take a personality test and we'll teach you how to better communicate.
They have a lot of courses.
They do. It is a pyramid scheme.
A lot of them. Just got to keep paying your way all the way up.
Which makes me wonder how much of this is there's a lot of cognitive dissonance with her, right? How much of this is the whole sunk cost fallacy of I have paid so much money into this, it better work or do something. And so I have to sort of put on this front because I've invested so much.
Yeah, she like kind of tells on herself because in one of the interviews they're like, so how do you deal with the like belief that Scientologists have about like aliens and like,
yeah,
this is a huge part of the belief system, right? And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Honey, that's in like 101. That's on Wikipedia.
Yes. And Jenna Lyons is like, I've seen Going Clear. Like, we've all seen it.
Like, you are a mess. I wanted to like her, but you have a pregnancy rumor scandal, and then you can't even like own up to the fact that you decided to go on this national show, and you're a Scientologist. Like, own up to it, right?
Yeah.
And she can't.
Nothing irks me more than a housewife who goes onto the show and is like, I'm not talking about that part of my life. I'm like, that's not what you signed up for, babe.
Yeah.
Give it all or give nothing.
Especially when it's your first year.
Yes.
Like, I do have a soft place in my heart for like the Kyles of the world who have been on this forever. They couldn't have known, truly. When when they signed up 20 years ago, it wasn't 20 years, 15, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, a while.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
They couldn't have known like what the impact was going to be. But then like all these years later, I can imagine that there's these things where it's like, I didn't want my marriage to fall apart on screen.
Right.
Like she didn't know that was going to happen. But this is your first year, bitch.
Yeah.
Like you knew
that
you're a Scientologist.
Yes.
This was not changing.
Exactly. And I want to make an amendment to my statement. I do think kids are off the table. I don't think you should have to talk about that. But everything else is fair game.
Yep. Or don't sign up.
Yes.
That's a part of it. Okay, Lauryn, bring us something.
Oh, goodness.
Beverly Hills?
Yeah, let's talk.
What's going on in our neighborhood?
Yeah, right. Let's talk Beverly Hills. I did take a break a little bit from Beverly Hills for a few years, and then I just recently kind of jumped back in.
Welcome back.
Well, I know. There's a lot going on. I think the big thing that we should talk about is the rumors about Dorit and Mauricio.
Okay, so on the show, what's playing out is that Mauricio and Kyle, like last season, she was very much like, I am independent. I don't want to like manage him anymore. I have these other relationships. He's going to have to like get on board. And then this season, she's like upset that he bought sheets for his home that he moved into, and she's like, am I making you dinner tonight? He's like, no, I'm going to my own home. It's weird.
It was so weird.
It really is weird. She's like regressing in some way. But so that's playing out, but that was filmed months ago. But in real time, we're seeing that there are like rumors that Dorit and Mauricio have a thing.
Because Dorit came out first episode that she and PK were separating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was in the show. And then real time, now we've got the dating.
Which sort of fuels the fire of the drama between Dorit and Kyle. Mm-hmm. But I have to admit, this is new information for me. I have not been... Hello, we're all new mothers. We have not been on socials. And I can barely keep up with the shows.
Yeah.
I did not know this until you just dropped this bomb. And I'm like, what? Wait, that also kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm. It makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about this might be... I think that there's this sense that Kyle is cherry picking some things. And she's like, I'm mad about this. And then she kind of blows it up. And you're like, it's kind of hard to follow. Like, why are you that mad about a joke at BravoCon?
Was it, the BravoCon thing where it was clearly a joke. And she even laughed on stage.
Yeah.
But then afterwards said she was hurt by it. And Dorit's like, what? Like, it was such a joke.
Why didn't you bring it up then?
Right.
So, but it would make sense that if there's these like, are you getting close to my husband? Are you like, if something like that was going on and you didn't want to bring that on to the show, you're going to make some other stupid excuse about why you're mad.
Yeah. And, whenever Mo and Kyle announced their divorce and then Dorit and PK said they were separating, the biggest part of me that was grieving was over those moments where they were all high as a kite laughing around the table and just having those like genuine, I mean, they were making fun of people and it was not kind, but like I've never laughed harder at like a Real Housewives moment than PK, Dorit, Mo, and Kyle all in that like foursome friendship. And so to have both of the couples break up and now a rumor about like partner swapping, I don't know. How true do you think this is? Like, what are the chances this is true? 0 to 100?
I mean, it's hard because I think they're all in a really vulnerable place. And so, and no one knows what it's like to be filmed like
and
they
it's a very
do.
unique place.
Yes. And so there's all these similarities that I could easily see emotional connections forming of, gosh, what's this like for you? And it could start with this genuine, like, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, I've been going through the same thing. And then all of a sudden you just kind of find yourself late at night together, just the two of you.
In Encino.
It's honestly giving like Raquel
vibes,
right?
Yes.
Like that they were sort of connecting over this like, whatever. And then you like have an affair.
Yeah.
It's very easy for that to happen. Like, it happens.
She is the couples expert. So
You are.
It's very easy for it to happen because, you start as friends and you're just connecting and you start to realize like, oh my gosh, I'm having way more positive experiences with this person than I am with my partner.
Yeah.
And you just don't even really realize it. I mean, most of the couples that I work with, when we're dealing with affairs and betrayal trauma, they come in and they're like, I don't even know how I got here. Like, it's a very slow process. And they've been friends for years, right? Like, they've been friends for years. So they have this baseline level of connection already and so many similarities in their life that I mean, I could see it totally happening, and it could very well also be a rumor, and that just sucks. You're trying to go through a separation and figure out what to do with your family, and now you've got dating rumors about you. That's unfortunate. So
okay, but now listen, I don't go on super deep rabbit holes in Reddit on some of this stuff. More of like the conspiratorial stuff, right? Like I'm like
we love
in
a good conspiracy theory.
We do, but I haven't like dug deep in this, but on average, I don't know if there's been a lot of rumors that have proven to be untrue.
I was just thinking that. Whenever there's smoke in the Bravo universe, there's fire.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, including like PK having a drinking problem and she covered
that
it.
Was very clear.
Yeah, for years. And then she starts first interview. PK is a rampant alcoholic. Oof. It's
Which must have been so difficult to like hide that for so long or try to cover that for so long. And then you just get to a point where you're like, I can't, it's not worth covering anymore.
Yeah. And the rumors about Kyle and Morgan.
Yeah.
Right. And then the rumors that Mo was like had a fling with the Dancing with the Stars person. Like those have all proven to be true.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't come out of nowhere.
This is not looking good.
No. Oh boy.
For our girl Dorit.
No. Oh.
Or for Mauricio, honestly, because I mean, his soon-to-be ex, I don't know. They're not technically divorced.
No.
Ex-wife was not having a great time with her, so that's just little bit of a slap in the face.
And Sutton is mad at Kyle for not filing for divorce. Now, Sutton is also getting $300,000, over $250,000 a month.
Come on.
But she's like, girl, go get your money.
I died when Sutton was like, I walked away from that marriage with nothing. And Erica's like, you get a check. I got nothing.
Yes. Oh, let's talk about Erica. Yeah. I'm loving
this Erica.
This season. Like, deeply love her. I want to hang out with her.
Yep.
I want her sweater collection this season.
The little like pointy thing in her interview.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool.
Yes.
She's so much more honest and real. And even her just being like, oh yeah, I love her $30,000 purse. Listen, it's not a Louis Vuitton boat. It's a piece of art and I want it. I'm like, thank you. Just be real.
She's like, and I'm coveting thy neighbor. I'm like, yes. Just be honest about this. That like stoic ice queen did not do it for me.
And she was like really trying to hear like both sides with like, she saw Dorit and Kyle like in the same day and was just like, you could tell she was really trying to listen and like validate their experience. And she didn't like say, oh, don't, you know, she didn't come in really strong with opinions. She was like really listening.
Be the broker of peace.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Erica Jayne.
Yeah.
Is she still making music? Can we go to one of her concerts?
We should.
I'm
buying tickets. Please. That is all of our Christmas presents to each other.
Yes, please.
That's amazing.
We just finished Love is Blind at like 1 o'clock last night. And we woke up and we were like, why do we stay up so late? But we needed to.
It was my least favorite season, actually.
Oh, it was
Love
horrible.
Is Blind.
I hated everybody.
Because they all broke up before they got to the altar.
Yeah.
And
I was not like deeply like, okay, I don't love admitting this, but the last season was great because you immediately saw that someone wasn't attracted, right? And you wanted to see how that played out. And then you also saw like some snaky things going on in some of the friendships. And then they ended up like marrying or dating each other's like partner. I mean, so that like gave us what we wanted.
That was the drama. There was kind of none of that.
It was
just a bunch of unlikable people.
Yeah.
I actually really liked Taylor and Garrett, but like they're just good people and I'm happy for them. It's not entertaining.
Right.
The weird, he had 3 kids and she's just like, oh yeah, I'm cool with that. And like he lied about it. Like, and we're just going to gloss over that.
I like it. They got over it, I guess. Weird.
Good for them.
Weird.
But we need to watch Ultimatum.
Yes.
And then we can come back and
Okay, so we're putting that on our list. Okay, how'd we do for our first progress note?
I loved it.
Me too.
Supervisor
I just had
signature.
a lot that needed to be said.
Yes.
Agreed. Agreed.
A lot that needed to be talked about.
Especially because they're all airing right now too. So it's just like boom, boom, boom. You got 3 in a week. Like there's episodes.
It's so much content. I love it and I'm also overwhelmed.
Well, I'm overwhelmed by wanting to keep up with it for this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't have enough time to freaking record everything that we need to. So progress notes is where we're going to
love it.
Catching up with this.
Love it. Great fun.
Okay, so Lauryn, do you like to hang out online? Do you want people to find you online?
You know, there was a time where you made me make an Instagram. Yeah, I'm not really online.
Chronically offline.
Yeah, I mean, technically I have one. I think it's LaurenLucido.lmft on there. I have, I think 98 followers.
Woo!
So
Amen.
you can really, up me there. I'm really not on there.
But you are a couples therapist in Southern California. And so if anyone is needing your services, they can reach out to you.
Yes, that most definitely.
And I will put your contact information in our show notes if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
Okay, Megan, where can people find you online?
At Dr. Megan Johnson, mostly on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most.
And I'm at Dr. Quincy on Instagram. And we didn't do our segments. Do we need to do our segments?
No, maybe not on the progress note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No segments on the progress notes.
All right.
I'm here for it.
Executive decision.
We're keeping it loose here.
Signed, filed.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next time on the Reality Testing Podcast.
Bye.
If you are a reality TV junkie like us and you have an idea of something you'd like for us to cover on this pod, you can email us at realitytestingpod@gmail.com. If you like today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform so that others can find us. We had so much fun with you today. We'll see you next time. Okay, love you. Bye.